Are there life forms on other stars? In 1961, American researchers published that there should be about 10,000 civilizations in our galaxy, the Milky Way. Where did they come to this conclusion? Because they believed, from their perspective, that life would evolve on a planet by chance. So they argue that if there was an evolutionary process on one planet out of billions, there must be other similar planets. Why here specifically? To the point that they invested a lot of money, created satellite fields to capture signals from space, so that our friends out there would send us some signal and we would receive it here. Once, they asked the Kabbalist Rabbi Mordechai Sharabi of blessed memory. This was right before the Americans launched the first manned spacecraft to the moon. They asked him, "Rabbi, people are debating whether they will find living creatures on the moon or not." The rabbi, a great Kabbalist, well-versed in the Zohar, said something. He smiled and responded, "I guarantee that they will find no life there, not there and not anywhere else." How does the rabbi know this? He said, "There is a preface in the Zohar. He created the heavens and the earth, and in the earth he created trees and herbs, and the trees created the herbs, and human beings, animals, fish." The Zohar says, this implies that life was created here, not elsewhere. Although this is not written explicitly, it is an inference he made from the Zohar, and he was certain there was no doubt that no life would be found. Since then, over the years, researchers have gradually become disillusioned with the idea of finding life on other stars. The more they realize the conditions needed for life, the more they despair. For example, just looking at what protects Earth from the meteors flying in space that were supposed to enter and bomb us all the time, with huge impacts and large rocks. It turns out that Jupiter, which is known as a giant planet, has a much stronger gravitational pull. A person born on Jupiter would not be able to lift their leg off the ground because the gravity is so strong. All the meteors passing by are drawn toward it. It turns out that Jupiter serves as a protective umbrella for Earth. There's 21% oxygen in the air. Who maintains this balance? We breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, a form of poison. If we ever reached a point where the oxygen level dropped to 5%, 10%, or 14%, people would have a very hard time breathing and might even die. It turns out that there is a photosynthesis process in the plant world, where our waste is their food. They absorb carbon, build their cells with it, and take in oxygen. So thank God there's no need to worry. Oxygen will not run out. But there is still a question. If oxygen levels drop due to an imbalance between humans and plants, people will suffocate. If the plants produce a lot of oxygen, what would happen? A single match could ignite the entire Earth. Who ensures the balance of 21% oxygen? Another point, the distance of Earth from the Sun, 150 million kilometers. If it were slightly closer, we'd burn up. If it were farther, we'd freeze to death. There are so many conditions required for life. I recently saw an article by one of the greatest atheists in the world, and he said that recently there has been a crack in his beliefs. If anything were to change his mind, it would be the great wonder that life was created on Earth, because so many conditions had to align perfectly for life to emerge. There must be something above nature. In conclusion, a person who observes astronomy, looks at the stars, sees today's research, stands proud and happy in their Judaism, as it says, "This is your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the nations."